If you're watching this, you might be in a place where just existing feels impossibly heavy. The simple act of getting through another hour, or even another minute, feels like a monumental task.
There might be a part of you that isn't planning anything, but just wishes for it all to quietly stop.
It's a profound exhaustion that settles deep in your bones, a silence where motivation used to live. And if that's where you are right now, I need you to hear this very clearly. Feeling like you want to disappear doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person in an immense amount of pain. Your feelings are not wrong. They are a valid response to what you've been through. This video is not going to demand that you feel better. There are no checklists for happiness here. Instead, this is a quiet space to just be. We're going to walk through a few small, gentle steps together. These are not for fixing everything, but just for surviving this moment. And right now, surviving is more than enough. The first and most important thing we need to do is change how we see this struggle. Right now, you might feel like a ruined place, a home that's been shattered beyond repair. But what if that's not the right picture? I want you to picture a vast forest after a wildfire. The immediate danger, the roaring flames, may have passed. But the landscape is charred, silent, and covered in ash. This is not a sign of failure. It is the evidence of a massive event that happened. You are not a ruined place. You are a forest in recovery. The recovery of a forest is slow, and it happens in the quiet, almost invisibly at first. It doesn't happen with a thunderous roar, but with a single seed sprouting in the ash. This video is about finding those first few sprouts. We will walk through the steps to navigate this aftermath landscape together. You don't have to rebuild the whole forest today. You just have to find the ground beneath your feet. So where do we begin in a landscape that feels so barren? We start with the simplest, most fundamental thing you own. Your breath. When your mind is screaming with 1,000 painful thoughts, it's impossible to reason with it. Trying to fight those thoughts is like trying to shout over a hurricane. So instead, we're going to listen to something else. The goal is to shrink your entire world down to the size of a single inhale and a single exhale. We're going to try a simple technique called box breathing. You don't have to move, just follow the sound of my voice. First, gently breathe out all the air in your lungs. Now slowly breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. First, second, third, fourth. Now hold that breath gently for a count of 4. First, second, third, fourth. Now slowly exhale through your mouth for a count of 4. First, second, third, fourth. And finally, just rest with your lungs empty for a count of 4. First, second, third, fourth. Let's do that one more time together. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. And rest, 2, 3, 4. This simple rhythm sends a signal to your nervous system that you are safe. It won't solve your problems, but it can calm the storm inside for just a moment. Now that your breath is a little slower, let's find an anchor in the physical world. This pulls you out of the swirling fog of your thoughts and into the reality of the present. Look around you right now and find one object that is the color blue. It could be a book, a piece of clothing, or just a pen on your desk. Just rest your eyes on it. Notice the exact shade of blue. Notice how the light hits it. You don't need to judge it or think about it, just see it. Now listen for one sound that you weren't noticing before. Maybe it's the hum of a computer, a clock ticking, or traffic outside. Just let that sound enter your ears without needing to name it. For this single minute, this is your only job, to breathe and to anchor. Now that we have found a moment of stillness, we can move to the next step. When the pain feels endless, the idea of forever is an unbearable weight. Promising to keep going for the rest of your life feels impossible, and that's okay. We are not going to ask that of you. Instead, we are going to make a small, temporary deal with ourselves. This is what we call the Postponement Promise. The promise is this: you don't have to promise forever. You don't even have to promise to get through tomorrow. You just have to promise not today. Think of it like hitting the snooze button on a huge, overwhelming decision. You're not canceling the alarm, you're just giving yourself a few more minutes of quiet before you have to deal with it. You are fully acknowledging the urge to stop. You are not lying to yourself or pretending the pain isn't there. I see this decision, I acknowledge it, but I will not make it right now. The power of this promise is that it creates a small pocket of time. And in that space, anything can happen. The intensity of the pain might lessen, even just by 1%. You might see something that reminds you of a tiny sliver of beauty. A kind word from a stranger, a song on the radio, the warmth of the sun through a window. These are not cures, but they are interruptions to the narrative of despair. Making this choice, choosing to postpone, is not an act of weakness. It is an act of profound, quiet strength. It's you, in the midst of the fire-ravaged forest, protecting one tiny, vulnerable seed for another day. You are giving yourself another chance to see if that seed will grow. Not today. Repeat it as many times as you need to get through the next hour. Just for today, you are choosing to wait. Every minute you get through after making that promise is a victory. It's a testament to the resilience that is still inside you, even if you can't feel it. This decision doesn't require energy you don't have. It just requires a whisper of willingness to see what the next sunrise brings. Let that whisper be enough for now. The next step is often the hardest, which is why we will approach it very carefully. Once you've made the promise of not today, the next step is letting someone know you're in a storm. This next part is specifically for you, for those who feel like you have no one to turn to. It's for anyone who has reached out before and been met with silence. The fear of being a burden is enormous, and the energy to explain your pain is non-existent. So we're not going to ask you to explain anything. The goal is simply to send up a signal, just one text to one person. I'm not okay. That's it. That's the entire task. Send it to a friend, a family member, a therapist, anyone you trust even a little. But here is the crucial part that most people don't talk about. What do you do if you send that text and you're met with silence or a dismissive reply? This is a terrifying moment, and it can feel like the ultimate rejection. But we have a plan for it. Here's the reframe. A text for help isn't a test of friendship, it's a flare in the dark. If one ship doesn't see it, that doesn't mean you're not worth saving. It just means that ship was too far away, or looking in the wrong direction, or wasn't equipped for a rescue.
So what do?
You fire another flare. This is your plan B. If the first person doesn't respond or doesn't help, your very next action is to contact a professional line. These are crisis hotlines, text lines, and online communities. We'll list several international and regional options in the description below this video. The people on the other end of these lines are trained for this exact moment. It is their job to sit with you in the dark. They won't judge you, they won't be shocked, and they won't be burdened. Think of them as the Coast Guard, constantly scanning the horizon for flares. Your signal is not an interruption, it's what they are there for. Having this plan B ready transforms the act of reaching out. It takes some of the terrifying risk out of that first text because you know what to do if it fails. Now, for our final immediate step, which is about turning inward with kindness. Often in these moments, our loudest enemy is the voice inside our own head. A voice might be telling you that you deserve this pain, that you are worthless, or that you are the cause of it all. This voice can be relentless and cruel. So we're going to introduce a simple rule, just for the next hour. This is the self-compassion contract. The contract is this. For the next hour, your only job is to not be your own enemy. You don't have to love yourself. You don't even have to like yourself. You just have to agree to stop the attack. Imagine you are in a war. This isn't about signing a peace treaty. It's just about calling a temporary ceasefire. For the next 60 minutes, you lay down your weapons. Whenever you notice that harsh inner voice starting up, you can gently say to it, "Not right now, we have a truce." To make this feel more real, there is a small physical action you can take. Simply place a hand over your heart. Feel the warmth of your own hand on your chest. You don't need to force any feeling. This is a moment of suffering. This isn't self-pity, it's self-recognition. It's a way of meeting your own pain with acknowledgement instead of with judgment. This small act of truce creates a tiny sanctuary inside yourself. It gives you a moment of peace from the internal battle, which frees up a tiny bit of energy. That energy is precious, and for now, all we need is enough to keep breathing. Just for the next hour, you are not the enemy. For the next 5 minutes, your only job is to breathe. You don't have to fix anything. So let's pause and recognize what we've gathered here. We have tools to anchor, to postpone, to triage, and to call a truce. These tools are first aid for a crisis. They are designed to get you through the most intense moments when the pain is overwhelming. But for some of you watching, this feeling is not a rare crisis. It is a chronic condition, a constant companion. You live in the emotional equivalent of that burned forest every single day. And if that's you, I want to acknowledge that your journey is different. Managing long-term pain is less about dramatic rescues and more about endurance. It's about learning to conserve energy, to find sustainable sources of nourishment, and to build small shelters of peace in your daily life. It requires a different set of tools focused on building resilience over time. The steps we covered today are still your emergency kit for the worst days. But know that your struggle to endure is seen, and it is valid. Building a life that can withstand this chronic pain is a longer conversation. It involves things like therapy, community, and finding meaning even within the pain. For today, however, The goal was survival. And by being here, you are succeeding. Remember that surviving the moment is the first step to building a tomorrow. If this video has provided even a moment of quiet, please consider sharing it because you never know who might need this space. This truce with yourself is the foundation. And from here, we can start to look at tomorrow. Today, we walked through a few quiet steps together. We learned to anchor ourselves in the present moment with our breath. We made a promise to postpone an irreversible decision, just for today. We created a triage plan for reaching out, one that includes a vital plan B for when we are met with silence. And we signed a temporary contract with ourselves to call a truce on the internal war. These are not magical solutions. They are small acts of quiet rebellion against despair. Let's go back to that forest for a moment. It may still look desolate from a distance, but if you look closely, down in the ashes, you might see it. The first green shoots are already starting to appear. That's you. That's the breath you just took. That's the choice to watch this video. That is the promise of not today. Every breath you take is an act of quiet rebellion against despair. Your survival right here in this moment is a quiet victory. Please be gentle with yourself as you celebrate it. You are not alone in this feeling, even if it feels that way. The comments section of this video can be a place of connection. If you know of a helpful resource, especially an anonymous or professional one, for those who may not have a personal support system, please consider sharing it below. Think of it as lighting a small candle for someone else who is in the dark. Your small action could be the flare that someone else needs to see tonight. Thank you for spending this time with us. Please take good care of yourself.